Hey everybody, it's Tim with Broken Dice bringing you a quick little channel update with my solo battle report between Thebes and Sparta, inspired by the Battle of Mantinea in 362 BC. All right, let's get on with turn 3. Okay, a lot of skirmishing action going on in turn 3. The Theban skirmishers were able to create the condition of shaken upon one of the peltis units of the Spartans, and in return, the Spartans were able to return the favor and create the condition of shaken upon one unit of peltis from the Theban army. The Theban unit was destroyed. What happened here was that the Spartan peltis were able to do enough damage to not only create the condition of shaken, but they also did additional damage on top of that, which required the test. The test was failed, and the unit was destroyed. Over on our allied side of the battlefield, both Spartan and Theban allies kind of, no, I wouldn't say they were going at it very hard. There's not much going on here. A lot of just some skirmishing actions, and actually on the Theban allied side, they did absolutely no damage to the Spartans, but the Spartans were able to do uh, some light damage to the Theban allies. All right, that ended turn 3. Let's start off into turn 4. Okay, with that being said, skirmishing action on uh, turn 4. The The Theban commander issued a divisional order for all non-skirmishing units, obviously, to charge to their front. Um, there was some skirmishing going on, as you can see in the middle of the screen there. Two of the Spartan skirmishing units, both the javelinmen and the slingers, both became shaken. Um, and on the right, well, actually the left part of the screen, you can see where one of the peltis had actually, of the Theban army, actually were able to make contact on the high ground with the unit of peltis that previously had become shaken from Theban skirmishing. All right, so here we are in turn 4, Spartans and Thebans on the what would be the Theban left and the Spartan right. Some combat's going on. We need to talk about the uphill advantage. The infantry unit of the Spartans, the ones that were just recently shaken due to skirmishing fire, they are in combat with a Theban unit, the one in blue, of peltis. They would get a +1 to hit because they did not charge the Thebans. The Thebans had to charge uphill, so the uphill advantage is you get +1 to hit. In this example, unfortunately for the Spartan infantry, they didn't hit at all with their rolls, so even with the +1. The cavalry, on the other hand, here's a note on this. Because cavalry have the opportunity to countercharge, and getting the charge bonus to hit in that. So it's not advantageous for cavalry to take a charge while on a hill. So it's better for them to countercharge. And in this instance, this is what they did. They countercharged. So they would not get the +1, but they get the advantages of charging along with the Thessalian cavalry from the Theban side. So that being said, there's damage done on both. Okay, so as a result of the Spartan peltis doing so poorly, even with their advantages of being uphill, they were destroyed. They lost the combat, failed their break tests. They were destroyed. Now on the right, let's look at the cavalry. Um, the Thessalonians charged. They actually won the combat and were able to push the light cavalry of the Spartans back, and they are in disorder. One of the interesting things about this, that if the Thessalians had lost the combat and had gotten the result of hold your ground, then they would have been required, because they were fighting uphill, to give ground in good order. Um, so being up on a hill would be very advantageous. Um, but because the light cavalry had charged, they kind of give that up. So cavalry will not really, in most instances, have to deal with that, because usually with cavalry, both units are charging. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you're going to charge them, and therefore that sort of situation probably wouldn't occur very much with cavalry. So here we are on the Allied side of the battlefield, both the Spartan and the Theban allies. Um, the Theban allies have declared a charge action. I was originally going to try to pull my skirmisher units back, but as I began to work through this solo war game, trying to get this to operate without a sub-commander that's actually dedicated to these light troops and stuff, it's kind of difficult. So I've decided to dispense with that little added note in my solo wargaming, and we are going to just plow straight ahead and get into some contact. Now, because these are all skirmisher units facing off against each other, they can charge each other. Obviously, if these were ranked up units, then these skirmishers would not be able to charge unless it was into the flank or the rear. Okay, so what we have here are the light troops getting engaged in the. All right, so here we are on the Allied side of the battlefield. Both the Theban and the Spartan allies are going at it, and the Theban Tarentine cavalry charged the light cavalry of the Spartan allies, and they are then countercharged. And again, just like on the other side of the battlefield where the cavalry were on the hill and charging, they give away their uphill advantage for the advantages of charging in the combat and not being charged. So it's kind of one of those things where you're just never going to see cavalry, for the most part, where they're just going to stand, take a charge, and just get the bonus for being on elevated ground. I don't see in the long term what that advantage would be. So here we see the results of the combat. The light cavalry of the Spartans had lost. There was 2 damage done both by each side. The Tarentines have a little bit higher save, so they were able to save theirs. The light cavalry were unable to save theirs, and so the light cavalry will have to give ground. Well, let's see. Here we have the center combat going on with the all the light troops. Okay, damage done both ways, except for the this was hilarious. When I rolled this off, I really couldn't believe this. The 2 units of the Theban skirmishers were fighting this one central unit of slingers from the Spartan allies. And what was funny is none of the attacks from the Theban side hit. The slingers did damage and did 2 points of damage, which caused break tests for both units. Both units failed, and the javelin were basically rolled low enough to where they were destroyed, and the Theban slingers gave ground. Apparently, so far, this Slinger unit is the unit of the match so far. All right. And then these units just to the left here, these javelin men fighting in hand to hand, they pass their. Actually, I think in this instance, yeah, like I'm looking at my notes. In this instance here, that there was no damage done by either side, so they just sat there. Here we are, with continuing with the cavalry combat. The Spartan have lost the combat, rolled for break, and what they do is they give ground in good order, and the Theban Tarentine cavalry do a follow-up move, which that's part of that sweeping advance. This gives you the advantage. Like if you beat a unit in combat, you can either stay put and let them kind of move out and move away, and then on your turn make a move to do something else, or you can stay in contact with the unit. And in this instance, sticking to a much more historical sort of playthrough, the cavalry would not give up the chase. They're going to stay in combat. And this brings us to the end of turns 3 and 4. With the next videos 5 and 6, each one of those will have their own short little video, because there'll be a lot more combats and units being destroyed and things to discuss. So hopefully they'll be short little videos. I'd like to thank everyone for following along with this little solo battle report. And please leave a comment, a like, or subscribe if you want to. I do this just for fun, and hope everybody stays safe, stay well, and I will see you soon.